Yeah, I'm back again live. Thanks to for calling it to my attention that my text editor was frozen. And I think it's because I left my OBS left open since last night, so that kind of messed things up a little bit. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. I would have been stuck throughout the stream thinking everything is okay, but we fixed it and it's time to go harder and better. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So guys, we actually were streaming and I realized that my store was frozen, my editor. So I needed to, I had to just come back online and close my streamer software to restart this again. Thanks to shout out to from London for calling that to my attention, because my stuff was frozen and I was coding, and I think it's because my OBS was open from last night. I never shut it down, so it was still like um, showing stuff from last night. But anyway, we've actually done quite a bit of work before that froze, which is a little bit like unfortunate, right? So these we can call, I'm looking to rename most of this function, so I can do run up migrations, run because when I do run embedded pending migration, is that up or down? So maybe we could change rollback to run down migrations. What do you guys think? So we can change that to run down migrations. Let's just get a feeling of what that would look like. And these would be run up embedded pending migration. For pending migration, okay. Yeah. Yep, that's up. And these also, we can just say run up migrations. Up. It could also be pending because that's what we're running. Pending migrations. Generate, still generate. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. So for one way, it could just be run pending migrations. I can work with that. So let's see. Generate migrations, setup DB, and yeah, we are taking in the update strategy. Let's see what it looks like. Update strategy is from so number, till, shared, and latest. And latest is just like the default. I'm actually looking at making this an enum. So we can say latest. Okay, let me think about this. So we would like to do, let's say, cargo run up, and just up. When we do up, I would want it to be, you would have to specify the path, I think, but I would want it to be, maybe you could say latest, or just do L, right, which means latest. But that should be the default, so you should be able to say path, and just put the path. So that could be like p localhost 8000, something like this. And I don't know if it makes sense to specify a default value, but one thing I'm contemplating on is looking at your current context. So we can probably just get the configuration from your current context, what namespace you're in, what database you're in, and just use that by default, so you don't even have to specify the root, the test namespace, and the database context by default. It just uses whatever context you're in. For the password, we can use root and as a default, and maybe you can update that. And also for the path, I don't know if it makes sense to use a default there. Maybe we could use localhost 8000, then you can specify. But I would want latest, number, and till to be sort of like an enum from which we can take one of. So I need to see if clap actually does support that, because what I'm looking at is being able to do, let's say we're not specifying others, but being able to do something like this, and or something like this. So this is like a default. If you don't specify any argument, it's just gonna default to this. Otherwise, you could say N2, N3. So what do you guys think? I think that would be cool. Let's check. Clap, but the thing is, even though I'm trying to make this an enum, right? But it's not. It would be different if I want to do, like, let's say strategy. Like, I could say something like strategy and latest, or it could be number. But I would want that it could be like number 2, or it could be, so that it could be these. Let's see. What am I doing? I think I'm drunk. Sure. Where was I? Okay. So we could probably have like latest, and here we could have like tier 10. But this will be cumbersome. This is not a good API. So I would rather us have something like this and not that. So I guess So what I can actually make, so what we can do is make latest optional itself. So we can make this optional, and when you don't provide that, we also check that you're not providing the other two, right? When you don't provide that, we just pretty much default to like false, right? So that's something we could do. So uh, if latest is some, then we're just gonna latest, of course, and otherwise we're pretty much going to just default to latest, right? So if this is provided, the latest, if that is provided, and if none of these three is provided, we're defaulting to latest anyway. So that should solve that, I believe. That should solve that problem. Default to latest. I mean, what if you say latest? You know what? Country do if yep, I can. Yep, and we just wanna default up migration to latest if no strategies explicitly provided. Yep. Yep. So previous, we can do the same thing and just make this like optional. I don't know. I think probably we don't even have to provide that if it's boolean. I'm not sure how clap works, but my feeling is that you just put the argument, and if you don't specify, it's just gonna be false. So it might actually be worthwhile to test. Let's say we've got like tests. Would that be what plugins was that to show the git pushes? Oh, that's LazyGate. And welcome back. Thanks for calling my attention to the frozen screen the other time. I would have messed up big time. So we can check. The plugin is called LazyGate. LazyGate. So yeah, we're pretty much just migration CLI, generate, if up, we're getting up. That from strategy from that. You're welcome, brother. Is it brother or sister? So we can test for rollback, but first let's see why the example is messed up. No method name that. Is that true? I don't think so. Yep. So what we're gonna what's happening there? Of course there is. How's London today? Where in London do you live? I was actually thinking of organizing a little meetup in London, but maybe next time when I'm there, because we're still getting started. Method name, run a similar name, run up pending. Pending migrations. So where's it complaining again? Let's see. A similar name, run up pending migrations. That's literally what I'm using, and it's even able to navigate to it. Let's go. So we might have to restart this. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with my editor. Close to yep. Yep. What's happening? It's able to navigate to it. So why is it telling me the stuff doesn't exist? Maybe I need to save the other file properly. We'll see. Let's wait for this to load. Then I'm gonna run. I'm trying to confirm if when you're using clap, when you run a command, if it's Boolean, the way it should work is, let's say this you're running like a command is called Pluto, or like let's call it Pluto. Say Pluto generates, and generate is Boolean, right? If generate, the way it would work is when you want it to generate, you say Pluto generate. Without, if you don't include the generate argument, then it's just gonna be false. So I think wrapping bool in option might be redundant. It might be something we don't even need to do. So this still complains. Let's figure out why it does so. I think the okay. What's that? Run pending migration. Embedded migration. I'm actually looking to change this also. So this would be run down. migrations. Rollback strategy. Latest. And this is number, and that is call that tier, and it's coming out, and it's disable, and then no very, oh, that's gonna be previous. Yep. Okay, I would want connection to come first anyway, and school, you're welcome. Yep. I've fixed all those stuff now. This one's still yelling. Yes. And migration. Oh yeah, I keep on forgetting this is now previous. Yep. Because X. Yep. Let's go. Yeah, so let's see from maybe examples, migration embedded, a bunch of stuff here. But nice to see it. Let's see, test, okay. So how about we run Let's do cd migration test. Clear that cargo run. Yep. I wanna love you and treat you right. I wanna know now. Yep, so it's telling us we can use up, down, list, whatever. So let's, and I'm considering changing list to ls. Let's do cargo up, cargo run up. No DB provided. It should probably tell us how to provide DB. So let's search no DB provided. Yep. So that is when we don't have but the user provided DB URL. It's nice if you could tell us example path. Does that solve all the problem? Do I even have anything running on that part? So let's rerun this. Let's see if it tells us what to do. I'm within the neighborhood, yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanna love and treat you right. I think I prefer this definitely. Example. So let's try cargo run up, blah 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 blah. Let's see. So that fails. What does it tell us? CLI 356 invalid migration directory. I think CLI 356. 356. We probably, so it's gonna tell us fail to run migration, but I think we would want to, I should probably be using anyhow a lot in this crate. I should be doing that. So you know what we're gonna do. We are going to run rather than just saying failed, we're gonna do if error log error, right? That's better. So it's hopefully able to show us more descriptive error message that is embedded. Oh yeah, invalid migration directory. It actually shows us that, but it would be nice to see that in a stringified format, right? In a properly logged format. So let's see how it displays that now. If we display that as a error log rather than just panicking. And if we're able to finish this now, maybe we add a couple of tests. So now it's displaying this as a proper error log, and also rather than showing this as a debug, I think showing it as a string would be nice. Yeah, let's do that. I wanna know, wanna know, wanna know, wanna know, wanna know. Well, I like to know, like to know, like to know. Now that I found you, I ain't gonna look no further. Now that I found you, I ain't gonna look no further. It's saying invalid migration directory. Migration test, migrations. Let's check that out. Migration tests. Oh, it means that doesn't exist. Maybe saying it doesn't exist is a better error message. Or it should tell us why it's invalid. Is it because it doesn't exist? Is it because there is a mixture of, I think, so that is that path migration test, and that doesn't even exist. So I would have to maybe specify a directory, and rather than doing that, maybe it's just better for me to copy something from, yeah, so let's copy. Let's assume we've got something here. So the nice thing, one thing we want to do here is like, I need to make the error specific, because I think there I should say it does not exist, because that's the better error message. In that case, migration directory does not exist. So invalid migration directory, I think yeah, I should say it does not exist. Does not exist. You the migration directory provider does not exist. You may need to explicitly provide a migration directory path argument. I think if you do like run up and up, you can see that. Let's see. Merci beaucoup. Beaucoup merci. Yeah, I just need to improve the error message to make it helpful rather than telling you what's wrong. And yeah, it's not really even telling you what's wrong. It should tell you, rather than giving you like very generic error message, it should tell you exactly what's wrong. So, for example, if you look at this now, you can see that you can provide migration directory argument, right? So, um, so. That is good already now. Let's run. That's reversible and migrations there. So yeah, we just say up and so for example, if we go back here, let's make this error out first so we can make it get the error message for us. Then after that, we are gonna try to pass the migration directory to it. But I would always encourage that you just put migrations in the root, and if you want to like put it in another directory, you have to specify that explicitly. So now it's saying fail to run these invalid migrations there. I was expecting you know what, let's just do error to string and let's save that. Let's remove that. And let's rerun it again. We want it to fail intentionally, right? And I'm not sure we actually need to include the reversible command. I don't see how much benefit that is, at least from the CLI. You just want to run up or down. You don't need to have to specify if it's reversible. Obviously, when you're trying to run down migration, if it doesn't exist, then it just tells you that it doesn't exist. That should be enough, should suffice. So now it says fail to run migrations, invalid migration directory. The reason we are still getting that is we actually want to use migration directory directory does not exist. So let's rerun that and see what we get. Am I so close to the camera? Maybe I am. That's how I do in real life. Um, so you might have to pardon. Um, let's run that. Let's see you again. The new error message. Something more descriptive. It's taking too much time. So okay, failed to run migrations. The migration directory, blah blah blah, provided does not exist. You may need to explicitly provide a migration directory path argument. I think even at that, it should tell you yeah, I think that's a helpful one also. And besides that, um, check information. Yep, that's probably good. And so one way to fix that is we could get a path. I think we might be able to even use like the relative path. So one would be examples, migration file base. Let's see if we could use like the relative path, and that's gonna be like cargo run this. The argument is var or you can say migrations there. I think it's that. And let's see if we could use like a relative path from migrations tests. We can do back then to examples to migration file based migrations. Let's try that. So we're getting a new error. Try help. Is it migration there? Cargo run yeah, migrations there. Is that wrong? Oh, it's meant, if I'm not using the short, and then it's meant to be double. Tip. Okay, yeah, so it's meant to be with an S. So again, invalid migration file name. I think the reason we're doing that is because we're not specifying that it's reversible. So to say that, we can say reversible, which is why you start to understand why I'm making these changes. Specify a namespace, so we need to improve that error also. Specify, just the way we log in should be better. Yeah, you can say if nope, if info, if error, blah blah. Yeah, of course, right? Why is it complaining about? Because info error. Yeah. Cannot find E. Of course you can. This is the results. I can. What? Need to figure out why it cannot find E in the scope. Oh, we need to bind it, and could reference that. Where else? I think we should just do that. Gen. This is better. Yes. Just to make sure we are can do logger that error. I'm just panic. You don't even need to do that. We could just alright. Yep. Um, um, yep. Let's run this again. It's gonna fail because we're not specifying the namespace, but I just want to see how it's gonna log the error this time. So I was logging it, saying filter on migrations. I want it filter on migration. Okay. Let's run there. So let's run it again. Let's see. Okay. Filter on migrations, unable to parse data returned from the database. Check that all fields are complete and the types are able to specify a namespace to use. But that's the main error actually. So I think namespace is probably ns. Let's specify test. The next error would probably be specify database to use that, so that'll probably be db test. So now it's saying unable to parse data return, check that out, blah 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 blah. I am not enough permissions for this action, so then you might have to pop user. Probably should do something like that. User would be, let's say, root. Still getting the error. Now it's saying explicit panic. Password not provided. So password, let's say root. Oh, okay, it says pass. Let's run that. So what did we get? It would be nice to get some feedback, like migration succeeded or something like that, but we're not getting anything like that. So yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. Successfully up migration is successfully run. I mean, is it necessary to say it's one way or two way? I don't think so. Yeah, so perhaps we could have something like this. Let's try to run. Still not getting anything. That is weird. Running up. And let's try to actually fumble the part. And I'm also looking to remove the reversible. I don't think we need it, so let's add something. to that part. Okay, so it's still telling us that it doesn't exist, which means the relative path actually does work. But I'll probably want to encourage that you just put the migration in the at the roots, right? So we let's try to do down. Down, down, down. So you noticed it actually deleted that, and that's something else I need to reconsider. If you say down, rollback, you want to delete, right? So maybe that's something we still want to do anyway. So let's specify up again. But even when we rolled back, it didn't like give us any feedback that successfully rolled back. I mean, all rollback successful. We didn't get that info. It'd be nice to log that. Let's run rollback again. Migration does not exist. So if we're rolling back to previous and it doesn't exist, do we want to try an error? Maybe. But let's go up a little bit. So how about we run cargo we do gen. So one thing I'm looking to do is extract the information like the current context, but before that we can do cargo generate. So there shouldn't be, it probably shouldn't be all these argument for generate, just maybe migration directory and so let's remove path. Okay, we need to also name it, of course. Let's call that create test. Create test. I don't know, should we just, rather than say name, should we just do like create test, if you get what I mean? So let's see if new stuff, yeah, new stuff has been generated. However, if we want it to be reversible, I guess that's the reason I probably added the reversible. But it makes sense in generation, but in running, I'm not sure it makes sense to have to include that when you're running. When you're generating, you can say that it's reversible, but when you're running, I'm not sure if it's actually very necessary. So yeah, we do like R, then it should generate also the down migrations, as you can see. We have all the definitions and the removals. So let's see. However, if we don't specify the directory here, it's just gonna do it at the root of that current context. So let's do this. As you might have noticed here now, we've got the migration here. So I think we're in a good part. What I'm contemplating is when you're generating, you have to specify if it's reversible or not. So if it's one way or two way. But when you're running, I mean I can understand like if you specify that it's reversible, they might be able to run some checks that, okay, this is actually not a reversible migration, it's just a one way. But I don't think that implementation detail is important for the CLI. And the next thing also is, how are we gonna get the information for the database in the current context, so that maybe you don't, by default, you don't have to specify the path, the URL to the database, and you also don't have to specify maybe the database name, the namespace name, if we can get that from the current context. And I think we can. So what I'm gonna do, generate yeah, let's see, let's remove that and try to regenerate. Let's see if it's the reason why we're not getting the output for the information, I think, is because we're not specifying the verbosity level. And we'll see about that. Because like most of the time you want the errors to be logged and maybe the warning, but the information maybe not always necessary to do that, because it might be too noisy for you. So in that case, let's remove that again, and let's do that. Let's say v, let's just make it very verbose. So we got information, running migration, blah blah blah, migration directory path, and successfully generated migrations. I don't know if we want to specify the migration names. And Arab, do we have first? Yeah, I mean, we can decide to also include that information. But anyway, you get the gist. So if we go to the previous one, the reason why we were not getting all that is we're not specifying the verbosity level. Yeah, now when we do that, let's see if it logs that out. I know I must get through, no matter what the cost. Oh, maybe not in generate. Bad app. So that seems way too much. We don't want the traces. So as you can see, yeah, it actually showed us like the database information and all that. Yep, successfully run migrations. You know what? I am gonna add some of that to the README. So when we're running it, do we wanna, let's see how we're implementing that. Generation reversible makes sense because you want to know if you're trying to generate down migration also, right? I mean, we can even change the argument to generate down migrations, or I mean, reversible makes sense. But when you're going up, when you're running up, the implementation detail of whether or not you're running two-way or one-way, I don't think should matter. because I mean it does matter in a way, um, because the way the files are actually named depending on what they are is quite different. But one thing we can do to get around that is we can detect the file name automatically. So we just check the file name, and let's say we read one of the files. If the first file, or like we can read all the file names and just check that they are all a particular, yeah, like the naming convention is one way or it's two way, right? um so that's something we can do definitely. um yeah, like looking back at things, I'm not sure like differentiating the semantics of one way or two way up migration matters a lot, because when you're running the down migration anyway, it's only meant for like two way. Yeah, there's no, yep, yep. So, and if you actually check the implementation of run pending for one way and two way, it's basically the same thing. Like we're using the migration runner. So I'm not even sure why we need to differentiate the two, honestly. And I need to maybe give a little bit of thought into that and make the changes. But I think we are on a good spot already. And one thing I'm looking to do is take some time to actually think if I want to even differentiate one way or two way when it comes to running the migration. Like, I would also like to hear your opinion. When you're running your migration, do you just want to do cargo run? And for the most part, you just want it to run to the latest most of the time. And it doesn't matter if it's two way, like up and down migration, or if it's just like one way. Do you care about the implementation details when you're running it? I don't think so. Um, Especially when you're running down migration anyway, you're not going to specify if it's reversible. So I think I'll take out the reversible argument from up migration, but we still need it in down in generation, because when you're generating your migration, you want to also know, like you want to also tell the CLI to generate corresponding down migration. And rather than saying that if it's reversible, maybe the argument could even be like include down or something like that. I don't know. So what I was saying is reversible is maybe we can just run migration and it doesn't even matter. um, it doesn't matter, right? We can have a function called detect if to where automatically, then that way we don't have to, you don't have to specify reversible. I think it's gonna make it cleaner. Imagine if you could just say run up, you don't need to specify R. I mean, you could shorten this as R, but you don't need to specify that. So imagine you could do this, and we could also detect the namespace. So you could have something like this. And by default, I mean, we could make the password and use roots. So when you're running locally, I don't think that's very valuable, because most of the time you're running your migration against your production, staging, or development anyway. And for the migration there, it's just default to whatever, right? And most of the time you're using embedded, you could use embedded migration anyway. Then for the path, we can just get the current context. So we do like db info. Maybe from the command line we can run that on SurrealDB from the command line, then parse the information into our code. So that's something next I'm gonna be exploring. But first, like, let's look at detecting two-way or one-way migration. So this gives us the path, file config. Yeah. So we get a path. Yeah. Migration directory path. Otherwise, we look at the defaults. Then from the path, file config. Let's do first config path. That's interesting. Custom path. Let's see. Get path. Get path. No. Where's that coming from? Custom. Get path or get path. So, but it then uses the defaults. Um, mm, mm. Yeah, let's check. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna mm, 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 create a method, and I'll call that detect um, migration type. From file name. So from that we're gonna um, have like self um, migration flag maybe. So this is what we need to do. We need to detect the migration type. So basically, we're going to resolve the directory and sample the file. Maybe check one or many of the files, and we can check what kind of migration it is that we've got there. I don't know. I feel like chilling a little bit. I think we are actually done with most of these. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably just take a little break on since we've done most part of the work. Like now we have mostly like up and down, and we're just trying to detect the type automatically so that when you're doing cargo run, we can just basically it shouldn't matter if you include the reverse option or not. It should just work. Then the second thing is um what's the other stuff? Yeah, so we automatically detect that. Then the second thing I'm looking to do is get some information from the current context. So you can imagine that if you're if you're in a current database context or environment, let's say staging, development, wherever, right, and you run the CLI, I think you shouldn't have to specify the namespace and the database name if you don't want to like do that. It should automatically detect what context you're in currently and use that. So that's what I'm gonna do. So those two things, and I think this PR should be ready. Thanks guys for joining the stream. I'm a little bit tired today. I've been taking naps, but I've been working a lot, so I think I also deserve some rest. It's weekend and I'm still working, but I'm excited. We're still doing a lot of stuff, and um, I might still finish this tonight. I'll see if I can come on stream, and if I can't come, I can just do this. Maybe do it on my bed, and otherwise, we'll continue tomorrow. I am planning to finish this for V1 Alpha on Tuesday because pretty much we have this, which is almost done. And after this, I just need to add a method to select statement builder. Then after that, I need to improve the define analyzer API a little bit. So just a couple of methods there. And I think those are stuff we could finish within a day. They are like really, really tiny changes. Once we're done with these, those other ones are tiny changes. So I'm looking to do all those stuff tomorrow. Like, so basically be done with this. Then Tuesday, I'm looking to refactor the derived macro a little bit. Some of the modules are quite large. So I'm looking to maybe refactor them a little bit, make them smaller, write more unit tests for them. We already have integration tests, but maybe have a few more unit tests and wrap it off. So Tuesday I'm planning to wrap SurrealORM up and be ready for alpha launch. And I'm dog fooding what I'm using basically. I'm dog fooding what I'm making. So Tuesday the plan is to be done with that. And on Trust, I came up with an idea while I was in the shower yesterday. So Trust, I'm gonna include Daisy for plugin, right? Then also there is something called Trust extension that I came up with. I think we can finish with both in a day. So on Wednesday, the plan is to do that, Trust extension and add support for Daisy 4. And on Thursday, the plan is to build like something like class name in TypeScript but in Rust, which is similar to what Trust extension is gonna do. So I'm gonna build that on Thursday. I think a day should be okay for that. Then on Friday, I am going to recreate the templates I have, full stack templates, and maybe create a CLI for it. So basically, I'll be using the same tools I've created, like SurrealORM, Trust, class names, my OAuth library. I'll be using those. So that's the plan. And now I'm gonna build the landing page for codebreeder.com, which has just had the logo for about 3 years now. So I'm gonna build that and prepare for the launch. Then the weekend, I'm gonna update the book for SurrealORM and create a book also for Trusts. It's gonna be a tiny book for that. And then write the release note, blog post and stuff. Those are the things I plan to do for the next 10 days or so. If I can finish all those things for the next 10 days, after that, I'm looking to do the more like the proof of concept, or actually the maybe MVP implementation of CDK, CDK 8S sort of, but in Rust. I'm looking to do that, and if we're able to pull that off, I think we're on a good track. Thanks guys again for joining the stream, and I'll be back again soon. Keep breeding code. We're all code breeders. Peace, love, kindness, and have a wonderful Christmas season. Be awesome, be wonderful, be amazing, be spectacular, be extraordinary, be dangerous. I love you.